It also gives us the opportunity to speak to all students, not just the inducted, about important matters. Let me make just a few opening remarks. Sometimes it's hard to know how important you can be in the life of another person. Maybe even impossible. Sometimes it's hard to know how important you can be in the life of another person. Jan Cherenowski was born in Krakow in 1900, the son of a tailor. His father had bigger plans for him, and so he became an accountant. Jan was a bit of a loner. He enjoyed being by himself. He liked to have his curious mind to fill his spare time. He loved science, studying languages, gardening, and even what at that time was a new science of psychology. Jan grew sick in 1930 with a chronic and debilitating stomach ailment, so he had to leave being an accountant, and he took up tailoring with his father. Amazingly, maybe because of reduced stress, he became a happier person, and his faith began to increase as he became more and more active in his parish. At a Sunday Mass in 1935, during the homily, Jan heard the priest say, "It is not difficult to be a saint." And that thought stayed with him forever. He had thought sainthood was only for priests and religious. He began praying more and meditating every morning, and then devoting other parts of his day also to prayer and reflection. He only reached 8th grade in his education, but he read as much as he could. By 1940, more than half of the priests of Krakow had been deported. So one of the remaining parish priests asked him to become involved by leading the youth ministry. So he did. Jan Cherenowski became the youth leader at St. Stanislaus Parish, which also happened to be the parish attended by a young man named Karol Wojtyla. Karol had hopes of being an actor. At first, he was turned off by Jan's overbearing and sort of strict manner of prayer and meditation. But when Jan initiated a living rosary, Karol participated, began to soften. Seemed that Jan had this innate ability to inspire other people. Karol Wojtyla's father had died in 1941, and his mother and brother had predeceased even him. So he had no immediate family, and he grew eager for guidance from his friend Jan Cherenowski, who had just recently met. Then they became friends. After becoming a father figure, Jan and Karol became friends. Karol decided to stop acting and became an ordained priest in November of 1946. Jan couldn't be present on the day of his friend's ordination. He had tuberculosis. He died a year later in 1947. He had lived, though, to see his favorite student attain the priesthood. No doubt, Jan Cherenowski had a big impact on the life of Karol Wojtyla. Okay, you might think this is a rather obscure story of one man who helped and inspired another. Few people have ever heard of Jan Cherenowski, and I certainly had not either. But no doubt he changed the life of Karol Wojtyla. Now, you might think that you've not heard of Karol Wojtyla either, but you have. Karol Wojtyla went on 30 years later to take the name Pope John Paul II. Jan's student and friend, who died just a year after the future saint's ordination. Jan's student and friend led our church for 27 years, and of course, he's the patronal saint of our high school. So here's the idea. One imagines that if it were not for Jan, we might not have had Pope John Paul II. It's hard to know how important you can be in the life of another person. St. John Paul said of him later on, he was one of those unknown saints, hidden amid the others, like a marvelous light at the bottom of life, at the depth where night usually reigns. You can be the Jan Cherenowski in somebody else's life. You may already be the Jan Cherenowski in somebody else's life, and you don't know it, and you might never know it. But God does. Jan didn't and couldn't have known who and what his friend Karol would become for our church and our world, but God did. here in this room, there may be a future Carol Wojtyla. That may be true. But I'm sure there are many future Jan Tyranowskis. You've been